Tavshin Lamed Ches, Parshas Lech Lecha. Vayomer Hashem al Avram, and Hashem said to Avram, Lech Lecha mi'artzcha miladcha beis avicha l'artz ha'areka. Go to you, or for you, from your land, from your birthplace, and for your father's house, to the land that I will show you. V'yadu, and it's known, sheyesh b'zeh beis pirush, that there's two explanations, two meanings, al pi chassidus, in the pnimius of what is the Lech Lecha referring to. The spiritual idea of Lech Lecha, especially since it says, all the Mefarshim ask, and including Rashi addresses this, why does it say Lech Lecha? What's the going to you? So it's obviously something more than just travel instructions, but it's something deeper. So Chassidus' deeper understanding is, it's talking about a spiritual travel that Avraham Avinu has, and also reflected in a similar vein by all Yidden. Our children of Avraham Avinu also have this spiritual trip that they take. And in general, this spiritual trip can be in two types of ways. Pirush Aleph, the first way, how it could be this trip, the traveling of going to you is from above to below. Let's explain the Torah. Avram. The name Avram could be divided in two words. Hu Avram, exalted father. What is the idea of exalted father? So we know that father is the level of intellect, like Chachma especially is called Av, is called Chachma, the level of father, like Chachma, Bina, father and mother. The Midas are the children. And the intellect is in a state where it's exalted. What's the idea of exalted? That means way beyond comprehension. Seichal hanela mekol rayin, the Alter Rebbe says in Torah. An intellect that's concealed from any thought. Now the Rebbe explains, what is this title, what is this description, Seichal hanela mekol rayin, indicate? Even in Seder Ishtalshlus, there's Chachma, Bina, Das. Bina is already developed, and it's clear, and everything is set in its place. Chachma is still very vague, and in a way beyond real understanding. But the beyond understanding that we're talking about, Seichel Hanel Makol Rayin, the Rebbe is going to explain here in the brackets, is beyond even the level of Chachma. So he says in the brackets, line 6, the level of Avram, the level of Seichel Hanel Makol Rayin is higher even than the level of Chachma. Ki Chachma imi yoysareishis kol hakeches pnimiyim hi bechinas gil. Chachma, though it's the first of all the internal soul powers, so being that it's the first, one might think that it's higher and totally concealed and not possible to be grasped. Still in all, it's a level of revelation. So when we talk about Seichel Hanela Mikol Rayin, it cannot go on Chachma, because Chachma is already revealed, and this is concealed from any type of thought. Masheikin Avram, who Seichel Hanela Mikol Rayin, as opposed to Avram, that's the concealed intellect, that's concealed from every thought. Like it's explained in the comments and the explanations of Samach Tzedek on the Torah, that over there explains the specific levels, what it's referring to. If it's referring to, let's say, Chachma Stima, that's in a level of Chachma of Keser, whatever. The Rebbe doesn't go into it. So now we've established what is Avram. Vayomer Hashem el Avram. Hashem spoke to Avram, the Seichel Hanel Mikol Rayin, or the way Avraham Avinu embodies the level of Seichel Hanel Mikol Rayin. So he tells that this level, the Seichel Hanel Mikol Rayin, has to be Lech Lecha. What does that mean? Ve'amar Hashem el Avram Lech Lecha mi'artzcha goymer. And Hashem told Avram, go to you from your land. Sheyetzei oirei hanelam legilui ve'yumshach melmailo lamata ada la'aretz b'chinas Malchus. It says, Lech lecha mi'artzcha miladcha beis avicha el ha'aretz asher areka, to the land that I will show you. So that means this concealed light, the level of Seichel Hanel Mikol Rayin, the level of Avram, should go out from its concealment, should come to its revelation, therefore come down from above to below, El ha'aretz, to the land, bechinas Malchus. We know the level of Malchus is the level of Aretz. Shemayim goes on the level of the spheres of Zeir Anpin. Usually Shemayim is a Shemayim, so that goes fire is Gvura, Mayim is Chesed, so that symbolizes all the midas, or maybe even all the spheres higher than Malchus. Malchus being the lowest sphere, the last of the 10 spheres, is the level of Aretz. Also Malchus is Aretz because it gives forth all the life of the following worlds, just like Aretz in the physical gives forth life. So that's what it means, Vayomer Hashem al Avraham, that he told the level of Seichel Anelam Kol Rayan, leave your concealment and come down to Malchus. Now, how does he adds in the pasuk something to the word El Ha'aretz. He doesn't just say Vayomer Hashem al Avraham Lecha El Ha'aretz, but he gives a qualifier. El Ha'aretz Asher Ar'eka. What is the qualifier referring to? Asher Ar'eka. So the Rebbe says, even in this, that we're talking about Mulmai Lamata, going from Seichel Anelam Kol Rayan all the way down to Malchus, the qualifier of Asher Ar'eka can have in it two meanings. Moisif, line 14, he adds to this Asher Ar'eka that I will show you, Ubezeh Beis Pirushim, and this, there is two explanations, two meanings. Aleph, the simple meaning, Kipshutei, like the literal meaning. When a person learns the pasuk Chumash, and he says that Avraham Avinu was told to go to the land, the Abishah didn't give him any indication what land he's going to. So Hashem told him, Asher Ar'eka, go to the land that I will show you. I will already show you which land to go to. Sha'areka koya la'aretz. So just like in the simple meaning of the pasuk, the subject of the Areka, what is I will show you? What is he being shown? The level of the land? The same thing. The level of Malchus that we just now identified as the land, as Aretz, is also something that it's Areka. What's it mean that it's Areka? Bechinas Malchus, that's going on the level of Malchus. Sham Malchus bechinas Alma des Galia. Since Malchus is called the world of revelation, we know that in the spiritual realms there's the concealed worlds, Alma des Galia, and the worlds of revelation. We've had this also in the Geras HaKodesh and Tanya, and Malchus is called the world of revelation. Because everything is revealed from it, everything that was concealed in Atzilus now becomes revealed in Bia. It gives forth, like we said, all the creations. It's a level of revelation of godliness. So therefore, how do you describe the Aretz? How do you describe Malchus? You call it Asher Areka, that it is the land that I will show you, meaning it's a land of showing and revelation and Gilui. That's one explanation in who is the subject, what is the subject of the Areka. Pirish Beis, line 17, a second explanation is Sha'areka Koy al Avram. It's not referring to the land, which is a simple meaning of the pasuk, like we said before, the land that I will show you, but go from Seichel Anelam Kol Rayan, El Ha'aretz, to the land, Asher Ar'eka, over there, I will show you, I will reveal you. Koy al Avram, it's going on Avram, Seichel Anelam Kol Rayan, the level of the intellect that's concealed from every thought. I will show and reveal you yourself in your being and in your essence. That's what Avraham Avinu is being promised by descending from the level of Seichel Anelam Kol Rayan to the level of Malchus. Ar'eka, I will show you who you are. Behind this means Dagam, the spheres of Malchus, Alma des Galias, even though that spheres of Malchus, the world of revelation. Especially the way Malchus comes down into the worlds of Bri Yitzir Asiyah. As we know, we a lot of times speak about a demarcation line. There's Malchus, the way it's in the world of Atzilus itself, and then the way there's Malchus descends into Bia. It is the lowest extreme in using the paradigm of Atzilus. Malchus is the lowest extreme. V'seichel anelam makol rayin, and the concealed intellect that's higher than every thought. Shu nelam gam harayin elyon, it's even concealed from the supernal thought above. This means that it says, for example, that antu chakim v'loy b'chochma yediyah. We say this in Paschal Yo, or we say another expression that it's there's reisha d'lo yisyada, a head that is not known. So it's brought down Chassidus. It's so deeply concealed. It's like within himself, it's not even known. So, without getting into the details of that, that shows who kotzachi elyon. It's the highest extreme. So seemingly, if you're having such a high level coming down to such a low level, that high level cannot manifest itself. That high level cannot express itself. Afal became the Torah tells us, line 22, still in all, through the descent and the drawing down of Abraham, the intellect that's concealed from every thought, to the land that I will show you, Kipirish Aleph, like the first explanation, that comes down all the way to the level of Malchus, the way it's revealed, the way it's Alma, the Bechinas Malchus, Alma Diz Galium, to Malchus, the way it is the revealed world, the ultimate other extreme. So one might think that something would be lost along the way. It would like interfere with who he really is. This is not who he is. Like, for example, a teacher teaching a student. Teacher teaching a student, especially the way Chassidus always talks about a Rav and Talmud Shleibert, it's incomparably higher from another, one from another. So he needs to lower himself. So you would think that the true essence of the teacher, his true mind, his true understanding, his true being does not become revealed. The same thing, if you're taking Seichel Anelam Kol Rayin, the intellect that's concealed from every thought, that cannot manifest itself the way it is all the way down here below. So we're saying no. Top of page Zayin. Through this, Yisra Vizgala Amitis Inyonoi Mehusi Vatzmusi Shel Avram Kepirish Abeis. Through this of coming down into the level of Malchus, from the highest extreme to the lowest extreme, that's how it will appear, that's how it will become revealed, his true idea, his true concept, his essence. Like the Kepirish Abeis, like the second explanation in Ar Eka, I will show you, I will reveal who you really are. Meaning, what's that mean? I will reveal who you really are. It becomes an ascent. It becomes an elevation also on the level of the intellect that's concealed from every thought. Kotzachi elyon, the highest extreme. Like it's understood from what's explained over there in Torah, that the Maimer explains that this itself, that the highest extreme should be able to come down to the lowest extreme, can only happen when you have a powerful revelation that pushes that through. So before the higher extreme, the level of Seichel Anelam Kol Rayin descended into the level of Malchus, so then we didn't have the input of something higher than the Seichel Anelam Kol Rayin. But now that the Seichel Anelam Kol Rayin had to come down all the way into the level of Malchus, into the lowest extreme, so you needed to have a powerful revelation from above. That is the true essence, and that is what becomes revealed when there's the Yerida of Abraham, the Yerida of Seichel Anelam Kol Rayin into Malchus. So now the Rebbe says, this same idea of the descent that takes place all the way to the lowest levels is to be found in our neshama coming down here into the body, every single yid's neshama, and the resulting ascent that we reach a much higher level than what the neshama would have been before it descended is also reflected as well. Any questions before we go on? Base, line 6. Similar to this is also concerning the descent of the neshama into the body. The ascent that occurs in the neshama through its descent down here below. So the Rebbe refers to what's brought down. The Rebbe says many mamorim that it says that only the neshama, when it comes down here below, becomes a mahalach. Like the Navi was told, I will make you a goers amongst these standing still. Because even, not just the malachim are called standing still above, but even the neshamas, the way they are above, are also called standing still. So when neshama only attains the level of being a traveler, a goer, by coming down here below, which is inyan lech lecha. That's the whole idea of lech lecha, that he becomes a traveler. He is going. Beforehand, he wasn't going. Before the neshama came down below, he wasn't a goer. Now that he descended, he's a lech lecha. So he says that this ascent that the neshama reaches, it's even in the most highest levels, even the level of the yechida of the soul. I can understand, let's say nefesh, ruach, neshama, these are more like levels that are like lower, so they could get higher levels, even higher. But yechida, the Rebbe says, it's a big chiddush. Why? What's so unique about yechida? The reason why it's called yechida, because yechida is the feminine form of the word yachid. Who is the true yachid? The only one, Hashem. Yechida is the receiver, the mekabel of the yachid, because that's the feminine of the yachid. And therefore, because it has such a close relationship with yachid, that it's the mekabel of the yachid, therefore, therefore, it's impossible that Klippa could have anything to counter Yechida. That's why when Yechida comes to the fore, Klippa automatically stops. It says that when a person's challenged with an inyam mesiras nefesh and self-sacrifice, that's when his Yechida is revealed. When a person, like Alter Rebbe says in Tanya Perek Yutes Yutes, is challenged in the idea of bowing down to Avodah Zarah, for example, that's where Yechida is revealed, and no Klippa can stand in the way of Yechida, because there's no opposite for Yechida in Klippa. In Nefesh Ruach Neshama, there's opposites. In the 10 spheres, there's the 10 spheres of Klippa. But Yechida has no opposite, which in other terms of Chassidus is called Bavua Laslahu, that it says that the Klippa, that the Gemara is talking about that Shindalad, demons, in the times of the Gemara where you had to be able to figure out if a demon was around and not go around at night, etc., because of that. So how can you tell if you're bumping into a Shin Daled? That happens if you see that this Shin Daled, this being that you're bumping into, doesn't have a shadow. That's the Chazal say. A Shin Daled only has a bevua, a shadow, but a shadow of a shadow it doesn't have. A human being or a created being, even its shadow gives off a shadow. What is that? Al pi Kabbalah, al pi Chassidus. A shadow is a level of makif. A shadow of a shadow, bevua, that's a makif of the makif. So the level of Klippa has koiches premium. It even has a level of makif, which chaya is a level of makif. But bevua, a shadow of a shadow, the makif of the makif, the level of yechida, doesn't have anything like yechida. Because Yechida, in Kedusha, is that oneness and joining with Hashem. So, seemingly, if Yechida is so high, one would say that by the Neshama descending down here, how can you make an elevation in Yechida? Yechida is so high, it's so united with Hashem. So the Rebbe says in line 13, the Kol Makom still and all. Through the neshama descending down here below, from a high building to a deep pit, a deep dungeon, so it becomes an ascent also in the level of yechida that is in it. Like it's explained in many Mamorim, Shaydei Avoidus Haneshama Biridas Lamata Davke, Nasa Aliyah Valiyah Shaloi Ba'erech, Gam B'Shoydish V'etzman Haneshama Shalamai Lom. There becomes an ascent, and it becomes an incomparable ascent. In other words, it's not an incremental ascent. It's just a little bit more than it was before. But it's incomparably greater. Just like, when we give a lot of times the mashal, when a person invests money, they don't invest $1 million to be able to get $1,001. You don't even invest $10 to get $10 in a nickel back. When you invest, you expect an incomparable increase. The same thing, the Yerida of the Neshama is not to be able to get just a little bit of an ascent, but an ascent that's Shaloi B'Erech. And where? Gam b'shoyrish v'etzman neshama shalamayla, also in the root and the essence of neshama above. And to bring an example of this, he brings something interesting that is brought down the sichos of the Frierdiker Rebbe, and concerning getting an aliyah, that the Frierdiker Rebbe says in a sicha that when a person gets an aliyah to the Torah, he gets his neshama is oil. That's why it's called aliyah. The simple meaning is they used to go up on a platform. Many shulim have a bima raised on a platform. That's the meaning of the word bima. Bima is a raised platform. And that's what it means. He's going up to the Torah. But according to the Frierdiker Rebbe, it means that there is an ascent, an elevation in the person. Where does that elevation take place? So it says in line 19, you can move and gamma vor become a sichos. Like it's understood also from what's explained in many sichos. Be'inyan aliyah Torah, concerning going up to get an aliyah by the Torah, sha'aliyah b'chol chamish abchinas shebeneshama, that the elevation occurs in all 5 levels of neshama, nefesh, ruach, neshama, chai, yechida. So you see, even the level of yechida can ascend higher than what it was before. And the Rebbe connects this also with last week's parsha, that there are 3 levels in Tevas Noach that are called She'en Gimel Abchines Tachtim Shniim Ushlishim the Tevas Noach. These are the 3 levels of the lowest level in Noach's Teva, the 2nd floor in Noach's Teva, and the 3rd floor. So these 3 levels corresponds. The first level, the lowest level, corresponds to Naran, Nefesh, and Ruach Neshama. The 2nd level corresponds to Chaya. The 3rd level corresponds to Yechida. According to what was explained in a Sikha that the Rebbe said on Parshas Noach that year, Tavshin Lamed Ches, Al Pi Torah Baal Shem Tov Al Pasuk, page Zayin, according to the teachings of Baal Shem Tov Al Pasuk, Boigoim Al Teva, come into the Teva. So the Rebbe explained that when the Baal Shem Tov says coming into the Teva, he explains that it's entering into the avodah of Torah mitzvahs and so on. So the Rebbe elaborated on it, and he explained in the Sikha, she'inyan Tevas Noach ho'ira b'seiv d'avodah. The Teva of Noach, the Ark of Noach, is a lesson in our order of our avodas Hashem, how we need to serve the Eibishter. L'chol echad ve'echad miYisrael, to every single Yid that tells us the way how we are supposed to serve the Hashem. This is actually something the Frierdiker Rebbe says, and the Rebbe says this is even more vital, even though it applies the entire year. But this is especially important at the transition point, going from Tishrei into Cheshvan. And the Rebbe says until Zayin Cheshvan we're really under the influence of Tishrei. It's from Zayin Cheshvan and on that we're really going into the regular world. Sha'oz Maskal Seder Avodah v'Yaakov Olch L'Darkei. Then begins the order of the one's avodah, that Yaakov went to his way. What does it mean that Yaakov went on his way, not the way of Tishrei where it's spiritual and out of this world, but his way in the physical world. Though he's going on his way, also in permitted matters and in mundane activities, until he's even involved in the stormy waters. These are all the burdens of making a living, etc. So he is, in his way, he is seemingly now removed from all the spiritual and out of this world experiences of Tishrei. Through inserting and investing himself in the words of davening and the words of learning. That's what Boy ala Teva means, the Baal Shem Tov explains. Come into the Teva, come into the words of davening, the words of learning. Not only by inserting himself into the words of davening and the words of learning, he is saved from the flood of the Mabul. Even more so, through the waters, becomes that the Teva becomes uplifted and raised up higher. That the Mayim Rabim indicates the negative, the stormy waters, the external confusions and bulbulim and rushing thoughts that are going through his mind. Still in all, it says that Vayigbru Hamayim, when the waters became stronger, it caused the word to cause the Teva, but the words, in other words, his ark, his protection, his box is now raised up, and now he's elevated through dealing with these low things. And not only, but it becomes lifted up, till becomes that the Teva comes to rest. Rest means in the level of menucha, the level that all negativity is now being removed. It's all a matter of pleasantness, like nachas ruach and so on. So therefore, the Teva we just now said is made up of tachtim, shneim, and shlishim. It doesn't just have the level of nefesh, ruach, neshama. It doesn't just have the level of chayah. It also has the level of yechida. And that entire Teva, even the yechida, becomes raised up. So therefore, line 12, movement that's understood from this. The ascent and the elevation of the neshama that occurs through it being enclosed and descended down here into the raging waters, into the stormy waters, is in all the three levels of Noach's Teva, both the lower cabins, the middle cabins, and the third uppermost cabins. That these three levels correspond to Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama, Chai, Yechida. So this idea is bedugmas hamavur leil sif aleph, is similar to what we spoke about in the first Oyser Maimer. Shaydei halichas, when you do this Avraham al Oretz B'chinas Malchus, through the traveling and through the descent of Avram, the Seichel Anela Mikol Ryan, to the land which is Malchus, Shetachlis the Yedidazu Hilias Gilu B'ri Tzirasiyah. That the purpose of this revelation, the purpose of this descent, is to be the revelation of B'ri Tzirasiyah. That's why it's coming down to Malchus. Malchus is not the end. Malchus is the reason or the means for it to come down to Biyah. Ukidu, as it's known, Shalichas Avram ala Oretz Hoybechdela Hamcheva B'ri Tzirasiyah Ba'il Adbal Mazagashmi. That the traveling of Avram to the land was to be able to draw down to B'ri Tzirasiyah until he draws down into the physical world. And why was it necessary? This was all we know, that what the Avos did was to prepare for us the way. Through Avraham Avinu descending all the way from the highest levels to Malchus, and via Malchus to come down into B'ri Tzirasiyah until it comes down to the physical world. That made a preparation to what has to be drawn down eventually by us through actual doing mitzvahs in the physical down here into this world. Was already paved the way by Avraham Avinu doing this Hamshach as well, all the way down here into the physical world. So what does Avraham gain from this? So it becomes an ascent and an elevation also in the intellect that's concealed from every thought through its descent down here below.